What's up, guys? It's Garage Goons, episode 8. Um, as you know, the most trash show on YouTube. So if you are watching, thank you. And if you don't give a shit, then you know, hit a like and keep it moving. Hopefully, you guys subscribe. Um, as you can tell, my mood's not as I feel good. It's just more serious today. I've gone back and forth for a good amount of time, considering whether I should or shouldn't talk about myself. Because who am I? Why? Who cares? Um, this show's to be about interesting people I bring in an interview and I find fascinating, and hopefully you do too. And that's the whole point of it. It's not about me, but I think it's maybe important for those who do care or those who are taking an interest to maybe just hear about your host, man. Hear about the dude that does all this stupid stuff every week. I try to keep it light, keep the jokes going. We try to just have fun on this well, it's not a podcast yet, but on this show. And we try to hopefully provide some entertainment. Hopefully you're into fight sports, combat sports, football. Hopefully you're into hip hop or music, or so far, something along the lines of what I've done. I'm trying to keep it interesting, man. I have a lot of really fascinating friends with great stories. And, but I think if you guys get context of mine, it might make it more interesting for you to see me interact with the people I bring on, bring another kind of lens, so to speak. So I want to make this very clear that this is not a woe is me. This is not a me feeling sorry for myself. This is not me wanting anyone to give me pity or feel bad for me or think that I'm bragging. Like, I'm just giving you, my lens of everything. And, I'm gonna try to give it to you, raw and uncut, just like the description says. And by the way, I'm great right now. I got a new truck. I recently got engaged to the girl of my dreams. She's beautiful. She's smart. She's funny. She's intuitive. She has drive. She's supportive of me. So a lot of great things going on. And I've just kind of been busy lately. Wedding planning, trying to lock down different vendors. Man, so much goes into a wedding. You guys have no idea. Unless you recently have been married, and it's expensive. So I've been working a lot. My old truck broke down, so I had to get a new truck. My phone, I don't know if you guys can see this, but see that white strip on the bottom? It just decides when it wants to and doesn't want to work. And this is as good as it works right now with all these dead pixels. And that's because I cracked it at work. So that's fun. But anyways, let's just dive right into it. I'm a person that is pretty hard-headed, pretty driven, stubborn in a lot of ways. And it's been a double-edged sword because people that are hard-headed tend to stick to their beliefs and their system, because a lot of times because it's a proven formula, right? It works for them. And I've had to be that way. Through childhood, I had grand mal seizures. It's a form of epilepsy. And basically what it means is you have violent seizures that actually are dangerous and can do brain damage. And I had them as an infant all the way. I mean, and I was medicated for it on and off until I was about, I don't know, 25 years old, 24 years old, something like that. And the drugs for it now are so much better than what they were in the 90s, when I first was medicated. Um, some of the side effects, one of the drugs was Depakote. That was the one I was on probably for the longest amount of time. And it's a drug that, it's a neurological drug, right? So it's going to have effects on your brain, because basically what a seizure is when your brain is misfiring and it's telling all of your muscles to fire at once. That's why you see the violent shaking and the, spazzing out, and it looks really crazy. You lose control of your bowels sometimes. It's really embarrassing when you piss yourself, or worse. And it can happen out of nowhere. And those of you who have epilepsy can relate to this. So um, the the drugs I would take early on in my life for epilepsy, Depakote is the main one. Really slowed my mental process down, and it was essentially from birth. I was on an awful drug when I was really like small, like a baby, and then I switched over to Depakote, and then I was, functioning. But um, it basically makes you feel like you're in a fog. Um, I'm trying to. It doesn't feel like a hangover. It doesn't feel like weed. It doesn't feel like you're drunk. I think the closest thing I can think of would be like if you're awake, you had your coffee, right? But you had like a sleeping pill or something the night before, and it's kind of lingering the effects the next day. I think that would be the closest thing to it. Not necessarily tired, just everything is a little bit slower for you. Um, and from a young age, um, I was put into special ed classes, all the way up until second grade. I had a kindergarten reading level. I struggled big time with mathematics. Um, and, you know, um, those of you that remember your elementary days or your youth, if you weren't the cool kid, if you had an issue with you, kids are brutal. And they are even unintentionally um, affecting you in some sort of ways, because you hear all the questions. You hear, hey, mom, why does that guy leave the class in the middle of the day? Why does he not read with us? Why does he not do math with us? Why doesn't he, um, you know, do the same workbooks as us? Uh, and whether it's blatant getting made fun of or just feeling the judgment, it has to affect you. It affects you. So growing up early on, a lot of my kids were special ed kids. And a lot of times people hear special ed and they think people with mental retardation, or people who have um, Downs, or some other, severe autism, something extreme like that. It doesn't, some kids um, have learning disabilities, and it's just they have something that is not obvious, right? You look normal, you speak normal, you seem normal, you like normal things. What is normal? But you know what I'm saying. And so the kids don't understand why you're not the same as them, why you're different, why you get taken out of class. Um, and it affected me. Um, I think from a very early age, I was always deep in thought, because when you're in a fog, you're constantly trying to sift through it and see your way out to the other side that's clear. But every day when you wake up in a fog, um, I think a lot of times what can happen maybe is acceptance of the fog. It's like it's like if you have bad vision and you probably should get glasses, but you just don't, and you're used to seeing less than 20/20. You know, you get used to it. Um, there's that type of person. I'm sure a lot of people have stubborn dads and grandpas and moms and whatnot that refuse to get glasses, and they damn well know they should. Um, and then there's a second type of person that continues to try to improve. This type of person that has that type of eyesight and gets glasses or contacts or gets LASIK or whatever, and they try to improve themselves. And I feel like that was me. And so I was always trying. I was always failing and trying and failing, at least in my mind, failing. Because when you're a kid, you look at your peers, and a lot of times when they have things you don't, you wonder why, right? I mean, when you're older, you know, you don't say, well, why does he have a Mercedes in his driveway and why do I have a Chevy? Well, because he's a lawyer and you're not. You know what I'm saying? So you understand those things. When you're a kid, you don't really understand those things. And so it wasn't necessarily materials. My parents gave me everything I needed. You know, my dad is a principal engineer for a successful aeronautics company, and my mom has a master's degree and you know, worked in HR for a long time at a very big entity that, and she was, you know, they were both paid pretty well. We never lacked for anything as far as food and necessities, and they're both very frugal people. Other people's parents that made as much money as them probably gave their kids a lot more, you know, nicer things. And I don't say that to like, I'm so glad my parents did that for me, because now I feel like I'm better with money and I understand its value a little bit more, and everything has to be earned. And so, you know, when you're kids, a lot of the kids would get new stuff all the time, and we'd get a lot of hand me downs. You know, a lot of the kids would, you know, get new shoes, you know, 2, 3 times a year, Nikes, Vans, whatever, brand new. We were going to Payless. It was that kind of thing. We went to garage sales and thrift stores a lot, but you know, there was a lot of love in my family, and my dad is a man's man and a role model and very stoic in a lot of ways. And I think there's and disciplinarian as well. And there's a lot of value in that. And my mom's like the most supportive, beautiful, kind, generous person I know, honestly. But they're, you know, they're both a little bit frugal with their money, you know, and I think that's valuable. So I don't want to get too far in the weeds with that. Um, so what I'm talking about is the asking of why can't why can't I be like the other kids? Why can't I just be in the normal class? Why can't I read? And it's frustrating, especially when you're trying and failing. And there's nothing wrong. I think it's one thing to think, to hear your parents and your teachers and things like that say there's nothing wrong with you, but you as a child feel that there's something wrong with you if all the other children are different, at least in your eyes. And so it affected me in a lot of ways. If you think about it, you know, especially in those first grade, second grade years, those formative years, those really crucial years where you have the building blocks of how you're going to do math and how you're going to read words and how you're going to perceive things and how you're going to think through things, your mental processes. That is a foundational, crucial time that is so critical. It's so critical to get it right at that time. if you want if you want to get on track, whatever that track is. And for me, it was just to be with the normal kids in the normal classes. And in second grade, um, I, I didn't, I had like one really good friend. His name is Ryan Howard. Shout out Howie. Um, love you, man. He was like a brother. He is a brother to me. And he was in class, in the special ed class with me. And I had one really close friend, and that was it. That was him. The type of friend that, not the type of friend you see at school and you're cool with them. You like maybe play handball together at recess, but the type of friend you hang out with in your spare time on weekends and whatnot. And his mom and his family took me in and watched me while my parents were at work, in between school and when my parents got off work. So we spent a lot of time together. And I befriended, his younger brother and his younger sister. And that was my core group for a long time. Um, and that was really my world. And at the time, the closest person to me was my grandfather. He's a World War II vet. He's got a Purple Heart. He fought in Okinawa, and he was so kind and spent so much time with me and would read stories to me and pushed me around in my stroller when I was really young, and he would explain birds to me and plants and just really just tell stories. And he would always give me Oreos. um, and we would always just hang out, and he was very important to me. And I lost him in second grade, and I was already a little bit in a funk, because of my circumstances. And I lost him, and I really had a hard time. I remember in third grade, or maybe it was second, I took a whole semester off of school and just every day walked around my dad's apartment complex. My mom and dad split up. Um, and it was a lot. It was a lot that happened all at once. Um, and my depression manifested itself in anger. And I was a very angry person at everyone for a long time. Um, I was just so angry. I was such an angry child. I remember my grandpa that passed away built um, this really nice like house in the backyard for kids. Like a playhouse. Like a 8x8 room with a door and windows and everything. And I just remember one day going in the backyard, and I don't even know why, but I just found a 2x4 back there, and I used it to destroy the entire house. And I just beat it to the ground, and then I didn't even remember doing it. And then I remember asking like a year later, and my mom had to remind me, "Hey, Mom, what happened to Papa's house that he built for us?" And she said, "I'm Ty, I don't know what happened, but uh, you destroyed it one day. You just broke it." And I was just really upset. I was really upset for a long time. I was so I was so just lost. Um, Late second grade, I stopped taking Depakote. I hadn't had a seizure in over a year. Um, and things were looking good as far as my neurologist and the medical aspect of things. So I got off the medication, and my reading level went from kindergarten to second grade, or excuse me, to advanced. I think I had third grade reading level, or maybe it was second, maybe it was right on par. And then my math was a little bit still behind. And then by fifth grade, um, I got chosen for the math science Olympiad. I had a really good GPA. I was really hitting my stride, and I took great pride in my academics because, I was just doing better. I was doing better. And and that helped me a lot. I was still a very angry child inside. I didn't know why my parents split. I didn't know why my grandpa was taken away from me so young. I mean, now I know. He worked on the shipyards for a while after World War II, and the asbestos gave him mesothelioma, and he passed from that. Um, but it just felt like a lot was happening all at once, and I had all this rage, all this anger, and you know, um, especially when you before you hit puberty, a lot of kids go through this. I noticed I was kind of chunky kid, and I hadn't hit my growth spurt yet. I was kind of thicker, so to speak, a little overweight. And so I just buried myself in academics, and I've always I've always been really into sports, but you got to be athletic to be any good. So that was not a priority in like fifth, sixth grade. Um, so fast forward to middle school, I had been getting good grades all sixth grade, and I stayed in elementary for sixth grade. I didn't jump into middle school for sixth grade. Some people have the option. I know. I think now almost everyone goes to middle school in sixth grade, but I stayed in elementary school through sixth grade. Um, I I wanted to get out of special ed. I'm in special ed this whole time. I wanted to take normal math. I wanted to take normal English. I wanted to take normal history. I wanted to take normal science. I wanted everything to be normal. And so my mom was somewhat against it. She said she would take me out of these classes because you don't have a say when you're 12, 13 years old, whatever. um, if I stayed in resource, which was like it was a class only for special ed kids, but basically it was a free period to do your homework or get help on stuff and ask for questions, which I resented at first, but then after a while I just hated homework, so I just would do it all in that class, which was great. And then I would have none when I went home, so that made middle school a lot easier. High school comes around, and I'm completely out of special ed finally. Starting to feel like I'm developing my own thoughts, getting into music, getting into politics. Um, you know, MySpace was a thing back then, so I had my friend group expanded, and I was talking to more people and making more friends and being more relatable, and just almost trying to forget my past. And but my whole life, like I said, I was angry, and I always been drawn to violent sports: boxing, kickboxing, martial arts, football, you name it. But when you have epilepsy, they tell you head trauma is like the last thing. You like drinking, drugs, and head trauma, like all bad for epilepsy. So I was never allowed to do any of those things. So um, I had that in mind, and I went to a magnet high school for the first 2 years because I thought, well, I'm getting this whole school thing down. I care about academia, and I want to go to a nice college and be a marine biologist or be something. I just want to be something to stay on par with my family. And and all the while, I have this amazing, intelligent, so smart younger brother who hears me my whole life having all these issues. And then my younger brother was like in GATE, which is like a gifted higher education thing where they identify the smartest kids and they put them in separate classes, but those kids don't get judged that way because they're going to separate classes because they're smarter than you. And he was just always straight A's. Once in a while a B would sneak in there, but like he was, he you know, I mean, even now, he went to a very prestigious college, got a very good degree, you know, just really proud of him, but as a kid, again, going back to the why thing, that's what I get to look at, as well as knowing my parents are both college educated and have great jobs and got degrees. Right. So that was tough as well. So I went to the academic high school, trying to, get a good GPA, get into a good 4-year college, and get out of my hometown, Simi Valley, which sucks to live in all your life. You realize it's great after you've been other places and you've experienced other things. Like, there are better places than here, hands down. I'm not even gonna, pretend, but like, the weather here is nice. The people here are fairly nice. The housing's affordable comparatively, as far as California goes. It's still like reasonable out here versus like LA or the Valley. There's a lot of upside here, right? But when you're here the whole life and you have a lot of experiences or memories that in your head don't feel so great, you just want to get out. So I switched over my junior year to the normal big high school, and I wanted to play football. I was off the medication, no restrictions. I could do normal things. So, you're starting to see a trend here. He wants to get rid of special ed. He's out of there. He's told he can't do contact, combat, violent sports with head trauma. He plays football. I was really always just trying. And I remember when I first tried out for the team, my buddy who also came with me, we were the Santa Su kids, which is the magnet school I mentioned. We were the weirdos, right? We didn't look like football players, never played football in our life. And we went over and we tried out, and we both made the team miraculously. And it was close, man. I'm not going to sit here and say we killed it, right? Because like one of the coaches came up to us, and I remember they were fundraising for the team so they could pay for, buses and travel and pads and all that stuff. And they were selling coupon booklets. And they literally the coach came up to us and said, "Hey, meet me in my office after practice." We met him, and he's like, "Hey guys, I got to be honest with you. You don't have to sell these booklets. We don't know. We can only have 55 guys on the team. We're not sure if we're going to keep you around. I just got to be honest with you. It's you guys are a little bit behind the 8 ball." And that was fair. I appreciated the honesty, So I didn't sell them. And final week of cuts came, Hell Week came, and we made the team. We made the roster. And that was a big accomplishment for me. I was never a starter. I never got a whole lot of playing time. I got some special teams time, and I got some garbage time over my 2-year high school career, but I fell in love with the sport. I loved the violence. I loved the hitting. I played linebacker, which is one of the most violent positions you can play. And I just loved it, man. I loved hitting. It was so invigorating. And when two people are armored up and running at each other as fast as they can, and they're both trying to knock each other over, that's an adrenaline rush that I can't even. It's hard to find something else that gives you that feeling, man, because you're forcing yourself to choose fight in a fight or flight scenario every single time, man. And I loved it, man. I loved it. So I finished high school. I gained confidence. I had the growth spurt, 2 years of really working out, lifting weights, playing a sport. I had a new identity, even though I was always given a hard time because I was a kid from Santa Su. I was the kid from the magnet school. I was always a weird kid, but it was like the jokes became less and less serious and more and more just like, you're one of us, but we gotta, it's sports, man. It's a male environment, all dudes, and in a locker room, dudes are brutal on each other, and you just, but the energy shifts from like, man, get the fuck away from me, weirdo, to like, you're one of us, but like the camaraderie, but we all just shit on each other for, whatever our flaws are or weaknesses are or whatever. So I just I kept that persona. Moving forward, I wanted to get out of Simi so bad, and I also wanted to play football. So I found out Santa Barbara had a football program that was really garbage, terrible, shitty. Like they had 2 wins, I think, the season before, and they were just awful, which was perfect for me because I thought, well, I wasn't great in high school, but this is not a top flight program. This is a junior college program that sucks. Maybe I'll have a shot at getting time. Sucky program, sucky players are coming out. And in college, the roster is way bigger. So there's a better chance. They actually have an 80-man roster in college and in junior college. And so I thought my odds were good. And even if I wasn't playing, hey, I was used to not playing, but I love hitting in practice. And I wanted to see if I could earn my way onto special teams or have some sort of role. You know what I'm saying? And if nothing else, just have the camaraderie of playing football at that level and having the friendships of all the other guys on the team that were going to be there. And so I go over there and, I'm this stupid 18-year-old kid, 175 pounds, trying to play linebacker at the college level. Like, I could hit hard, but like, there's grown ass men out there. Some dudes don't go to college till they're like 23, 24. And then they have got, a decade of pumping iron on them. You know what I'm saying? So, and I didn't look like that. I looked like an 8-year-old kid. And so I go out there and for a summer, my whole thing was like, I'm gonna make the football team, party it up. I really wanted to party it up because like, in high school, I would go to parties, but I didn't have the cool. I lived with my mom, right? My parents are split. So my dad doesn't have a say. My mom's like, you're not gonna go and drink. It's illegal, whatever. And so I did it and had to sneak out, right? So this was my chance to do everything I wanted, to really feel my independence and make all the mistakes and make all the decisions and really for once really do everything my way and sign up for the classes I want. And nobody had to know about my past. Nobody had to know that I was special ed. Nobody had to know that I was a kid from Santa Sue. Nobody had to know that, I didn't play football my entire life. I could just get a refresh. And that's exactly what I wanted. But I went out there and, I was trying to get in with the older cool kids, or the kids I thought were cool, which a lot of them probably turned out to be burnouts now that I'm thinking about it. But, I'm this weird 18-year-old dude. Right. And, so one thing I used to be able to do really well is drink. So I was going to Isla Vista every night or the Cliff House Apartments, shout out Cliff House, and playing beer pong and doing shots and all this stuff. And they'd be like, look at this kid go, they'd be like, oh, Tyler, do another keg stand. They were like, really like, looking back on it, they're probably taking advantage of me a little bit, but it was like, it felt like old school and I got to be Frank the Tank. You know what I mean? Like that's kind of the role I got to play. And, so yeah, I was going to drink my ass off and hang with all these guys that were really impressed at how I could drink. And that obviously didn't go well with football. I remember most practices I'd be at hungover and, yeah, I didn't make the team. And also that year was a record breaking 125 guys came out, tried out for a 85-man roster. I thought, man, this is money. I'm just going to get on, man. I'm not trying to start. I don't have this delusional idea of, hey, I'm going to play college football and then I'll go to the NFL. No, man, I knew what it was, bro. I'm a barely above average athlete white boy who's undersized for a position that I want to play. You know what I'm saying? Like, what, you know, take that from that what you will, you know? So I didn't make the team and I was gutted, absolutely gutted. So after I found that out, I returned to my mom's house for a weekend, and I had been drinking a lot while I was in Santa Barbara, and I returned to my mom's house again, and my friends from back home that were still living at home, and I played basketball, and it was like a 98-degree day out, maybe triple digits, and we were playing at Lemon Park, and I had a seizure, and I hadn't had a seizure in like a decade, and I had a seizure, and you know, I was having to start taking my Keppra, which was a newer, better drug than my original drug, and it kind of really, that seizure was brutal. I hit the pavement in the heat, dehydrated, probably didn't have any of the vitamins or nutrients I needed in my body at the time, and I hit the pavement, and I just remember having like coming to and really like it's kind of like when you hit reset when the computer's in the middle of an update. You know what I'm saying? Like you just like wake up and you're there and you don't have any context. And so once the fog clears from having a seizure that crazy, um, put things into perspective. I was like, well, I'm not making the team. I could be party guy out there, but that's not the main reason why I went out there. And I can get this junior college education anywhere. So I made the active decision to not go to Santa Barbara College, and I went to Moore Park and I tried playing football there. So there's another example of failure. So I took classes for a semester. The football season had already started by the time I went to Moore Park. And then the next year I tried out for Moore Park's team. And in an optional spring practice, they were doing duck ball drills, which is basically you simulate the quarterback throwing a ball. You're on I'm a defender, right? I play defense, and somebody tips the ball, or it's like a bad throw, whatever. The ball comes out all crazy, right? And so your job is to turn your hips, track the ball, backpedal, and high point it. And it's an optional spring practice, guys. I was the Rudy guy, right? I'm the guy that runs bleachers and tries to get the coaches to see, well, hey, he's not that great, but he works real hard. I was that guy. I was try hard. Okay. I'm Captain Try Hard. And so, but it's optional spring practice, man. A quarter of the team is there. Most of the guys are just trying to like lose a few pounds from, all the drinking they did and all the partying, whatever, and just get into a little bit better shape and show the coaches early that, hey, I'm a good athlete. You should start me, kind of thing. I'm just there because like, hey man, I need to improve every single aspect of my game and improve my chances of making this team because I don't want to get cut like last time. So they're doing the drills, and I go up to catch it. No, excuse me. I go up this way to catch it, and I jump, and my momentum's taking me this way, right? And I catch it with a hand, my left hand, and my left leg is locked, and it lands down, and my leg does that sideways. ACL, MCL, clean snapped, not partial tear. Everything was torn. My whole knee. And not to mention, I knew my weaknesses going in. So I was eating 10,000 calories a day. I was gaining weight. I was lifting every day. I was running every day. I was like, I'm going to get bigger. I'm going to get faster, and I'm going to get stronger. And I did to my, I'm not trying to toot my own horn, but I went from like 185 to, 205, which was the biggest I had ever been in my life, man. I still had the, young man, 19, 20-year-old metabolism, whatever. And it was hard to put on weight, but I was eating like a savage and just lifting as much as I could all the time. All of the muscle groups that I knew I could put on muscle the fastest. So a lot of deadlifts, a lot of squats, a lot of lower body lifts. My bench was never awesome, but it was respectable. It was like 250 or something like that. And All the supplements, dude. Going to GNC, just buying out the store. Hey, this will make me bigger. Hey, this will make me faster. Hey, this will make me stronger. All of it, dude. Took it all. Even the, if it was barely legal or maybe going to be outlawed soon, I was on that shit. Everything but steroids. And I thought about steroids too, but I just never went down that route because I had, my own feelings about steroids. And then I tear my ACL. And I go into this deep, deep, deep depression because the thing that got me out of the funk was football in high school. That pulled me out, man. A lot of people don't know about the demons I've had, but that pulled me out. And I identified myself as athlete. I am athlete. Everything else is secondary. And I know that sounds crazy to a lot of you guys that were just natural athletes, started your whole life all the way from Pop Warner, but I didn't have that, and I was behind the 8 ball, so I was just so happy to be a part of it, and that was my identity, man, as crazy as it sounds, and I lost that. And it was tough. I got surgery on my ACL and MCL and PCL, and I lost a lot of weight because of the muscle atrophy. You think about you're eating 10,000 calories a day, lifting once to twice a day, 5 times a week. Yeah, you're going to lose muscle, dude. You can't eat like that when you're laying in bed. You can't eat like that when you can't even walk around. You can't eat like that when you can't put weight on it. So, yeah, man, I never feel like I fully cleared my depressive state, but I felt like I was starting to have more good days than bad, if that makes any sense. And I was starting to be less angry, and I was starting to be less destructive, and it was taken away from me. And I felt like this is another fucking thing that's taken away from me. Why? Why is this? This is good. Football is good. I'm not taking my anger out on innocent people. I'm not lashing out. It's healthy for the most part. I mean, now we know about CTE and stuff like that, but like for the most part, it gets you in great physical shape, builds leadership, builds teamwork, forces you to socialize and work with others. There's a lot of good things that come out of a team sport like football, and football is unique because everybody's position is different. Everyone has a crucial role, and the positions are so vastly different. You have 300-pound monsters over here that are just trying to bowl people over, and then you have speedy wide receivers over here that are just trying not to get touched by anyone and go run down the field as fast as they can and catch balls. And you have guys that all they do is throw the ball, quarterbacks. That's an oversimplification, but you get what I'm saying. I loved how it was like a puzzle that just fit together with all these different pieces. I loved it. And I loved being one of the pieces, man, even if my piece was less important than, some of the starters. You know what I'm saying? And it was tough, man. That was one of the toughest losses since my grandfather and my parents' divorce that I experienced. And one of the byproducts of having a major surgery is they give you painkillers. So, my mom had really good insurance, which I was still under, and I was very blessed because I saw one of the best orthopedic surgeons in the country, who's actually right here in town in Simi Valley. I don't know if he still is, but he was doing pro athletes, guys from USC, all kinds of, like, he's the guy, right? Like, I've never retorn, knock on wood, I've never retorn my ACL or damaged my knee. It feels funny on cold days, but that's about it. Okay. And my instructions were take 2 of these pills or less every 4 to 6 hours. So if you do the math, if it's every 4 hours, you're going to take them 6 times a day, right? 4 times 6 is 24. it's every 6 hours, you'll take them 4 times a day, right? Well, you gotta sleep, so there's 8 hours away. So you're probably gonna take them 4 times a day, right? Something like that. And these pills were Percocets. And I know that a lot of people like Percocets. I know a lot of rappers that I listen to talk about Percocets all the time, and I will tell you they're awesome. They feel awesome. All the pain I felt and anger I felt, I thought was washed away. I The dangerous thing about them is that they're really good at what they do, which is blocking out pain and all forms of pain. So what does that mean? They're for my knee, right? That's been obliterated, and like they're using all different types. They're using my patella tendon to stretch it out in the middle of my knee and reattach my ACL. So the front of my knee's fucked, the middle of my knee's fucked. My meniscus are just torn to shreds. So I have no stability on it. Not only can I not put weight on it, and I lost all this weight. I feel like my college athletic career is definitely not going to happen now. And the Percocets took the pain away for a while. And my instructions coming out of surgery were, hey, when you don't need them anymore, the pain is manageable. You can start using aspirin and stuff for it. Stop taking them. Right? Well, that makes it sound like you can just stop taking hardcore opiates and you'll be fine. You'll be fine. You stop taking them. This is medicating my psyche. This is medicating my legs. This is making me feel like I don't want to kill myself, because it didn't make me feel happy. It made me feel nothing, which was blissful in a way, because I hadn't felt nothing all my life, if that makes any sense. And I really enjoyed feeling nothing, because I was in a position to where I didn't have an identity anymore. Because when your identity is athlete and that's over, it's really, really a tough thing to deal with. You hear a lot of athletes going broke because they're spending all their money doing dumb shit. They're trying to, they can't let the game go. They don't know how to move on. They're angry. They're depressed. You hear about this stuff, man. Guys don't know how to let go. They don't know how to transition into civilian life. And I'm not a pro, but I was no different. So I became addicted to Percocets, or at least dependent. I don't know. I don't work a program. I haven't taken any painkillers for years and years and years, but I tried quitting them when I said, because I started making excuses, right? Well, my knee still kind of hurts, or what if I put weight on it, trying to do stuff on my own a little bit, and it hurts real bad. I need this still. I still need this. Well, that's cool until the prescription runs out and they're like, dude, it's been 3 months, 90 days. Like, you should be like moving on from this. But I had a coming to Jesus moment, so to speak. And I was like, okay, well, you're lying to yourself, Tyler. Stop bullshitting. So I just stopped taking them. And if anyone's experienced when you go from using lots of opiates to not at all, the withdrawals you have. I never had a panic attack in my life to this point, and I definitely had one. And when you've never had a panic attack and then you have one for the first time, you feel like you're dying. It's hard to get air. It feels like the wind got knocked out of you. Your heart's beating out of your chest. You're sweating, and you literally just cannot breathe or move. I mean, people that have panic attacks regularly and they can identify it, they breathe in a bag, they have all these techniques. When you don't know what it is, you think you're going to die, right? So I'm in my room trying to be a man about it, holding all this in while I'm struggling to breathe. my head's turning purple, dude. Like my heart is beating out of my chest. Eventually, I call for my mom. She calls. It was late at night, and she calls like some hotline, some medical hotline. And they said, okay, we'll give him half of one, and it instantly went away. Took it, went away, and I was like, oh. And I talked to somebody on the phone, and they said, the surgeon told you to just stop. I said, yeah. They said, that's wrong. Well, what am I supposed to do? Wean off, they said. They said, if you're taking X amount, cut that in half. And a week later, cut that in half. And a week later, cut that in half. And after that, eventually, there's going to be a point where you cut it all off and it sucks. But at least at that point, you're not going cold turkey, right? So I discovered that, and I stopped taking it, started getting back in the gym a little bit more, testing it a little bit more. It took me about 8 months to be able to run at full speed. It took me about 10 months, I would say, to be able to have the lateral movement. That was the last thing that came, to being able to put extreme pressure and push off of it. You know what I'm saying? And the cutting movement, the agility movements. The straight line speed came actually like 6 months in. I recovered pretty well. I was rehabbing really hard. I was motivated. I didn't know what I wanted to do, but I wasn't going to do nothing. And but it was hard to let go of the painkillers because I was managing the pain, but the mental pain was still there. The death of football for me was still there, and that was my sanctuary. You know, a lot of you guys might watch this and have no idea, but that was my sanctuary, and that was taken from me. So I had a buddy that had a prescription for Vicodin, which is like a shittier version of Percocets. And I just would take a whole bunch of those, like Tic Tacs, all the time. And people had no idea, man. Like honestly, it was weird because I was like, man, I need that mental break from the pain and reality. And I still didn't know what to do. So I was just going to school, like aimlessly going through it. And I was taking Vicodins for a while. And eventually that kind of situation ran out and I stopped doing that. But I was like, man, you keep filling this void with pills. How can you really fill this void? You know? And I was around 180 to 175 pounds, close to my high school weight, lean, in good shape, but just not the beefcake and the strong muscle dude that I was trying to be in college football. And when I was younger, I was really into Taekwondo, and before that, Kempo karate. And I dabbled a little bit with kickboxing here and there while I was, training for football. I would, take a class here and there, a Muay Thai class here and there. There's a lot of cool little great gyms in town. And, I was exploring that, and I love the physicality of that. So I said, you know what? Football, I need to be big. And I'll probably never be big enough to be as good as I want to be. And I wasn't trying to do steroids. So MMA has weight classes. So I joined an MMA gym. And I love it. I fall in love with it. It's the first thing I've done in my entire life that I was naturally, I don't want to say gifted because that sounds arrogant, but like it came to me naturally. Things just clicked. I was just learning and I was loving it. And even the days I would get beat up, the dog shit beat out of me, I loved it. Loved it. I can't explain it, man. What football did for me, MMA did for me, and then some, because in MMA, so you get a boost of the ego. You know when you're getting better, right? In football, there's a lot of politics, right? The coach may have a kid that he scouted that he really likes, or someone's parents donated a bunch of money to the program, so they're going to get more playing time. There's a little bit of politics involved. For the most part, the best guy gets the job, but that's not always how it plays out. In MMA, there's only one guy, whoever wants to fight. And that was me. I wanted to fight. I was good at it, man. Well, I say that, and my record is 0-2. The first guy I fought was 20 pounds heavier than me. The second guy, I felt like I got robbed. It was a split decision loss. But either way, before I got in the cage, I fought a lot of smoker kickboxing matches and I never lost one. So I was a striker. That's what I prided myself on. But a good fucking wrestling or jiu-jitsu guy was always the bane of my existence. I just wanted to stand up and bang, you know? And if there was a takedown, I wanted to be the guy taking the guy down, like Tito Ortiz just smashing his head into the canvas, you know? That was my thing. And I really enjoyed it. I really loved it. And it finally pulled me all the way out. That funk, that dark cloud that hung over my head pulled me all the way out. I was always trying to prove something to people. I was always trying to, I am good enough. I am worthy. I am smart too. I can do this stuff too. And I always felt like people said, no, you can't. And maybe people weren't saying that, but I felt that. And I felt that I pulled myself out of MMA, with MMA, excuse me. And it was a blessing, man. It was an absolute blessing. And I realized that I didn't want to go to college anymore because what I was good at, what I was interested in was political science. And I said, what's the end game? I could get a PhD in this and teach it for like $100K a year and be in debt for the rest of my life. Okay, that sucks. I could just get like a job that any degree could get me, like a insurance sales or some shit like that. I don't want to do that. So I quit college. I'm just working full time. And I see my neighbor next door, and you know, he's got good looking family, good looking wife, bunch of toys, you know, trailer, truck, motorcycles, skis, all the cool shit. And I said, and I just every day I saw him come home, and he was always in jeans and a t-shirt, driving his big truck. And I'm like, man, I got to talk to this guy. So I would go over there. I said, hey man, I know this is going to sound weird, but what do you do, man? I see you come home every day. You have a lot of cool stuff, you know, your trailers and your dirt bikes and all your cool little fun toys, and you get to go to work in jeans and a t-shirt and come home in jeans and a t-shirt. And he's like, yeah, man, I went to the school in the valley. It's called ABC. It's an electrical school. Here's the number. Call him. I call him. I get into that school. I start an apprenticeship. It's the best thing ever. I wish somebody told me about trades in high school. I knew plumbers existed, man, but I just thought like, you're just like, well, I'm going to be a plumber now. And then you had to like dig shit out of toilets and roto-root toilets and work for like drive a little stupid minivan around that has a bunch of tools and go home to home and unclog toilets. I thought that was like all plumbers did. And I thought electricians were like, you had to go to college or something for that. And I just didn't know about it. Right. Like, and he's like, yeah, it's 4-year program. You get paid the whole time. They find work for you. You get 90% of like your credits through on the job experience. They're going to pay you the whole time and they're going to find work for you. I'm like, dude, what's the catch? No catch, dude. You have to buy textbooks. And that's it. Everything else is covered because what the school does is they take a cut. You don't know what they're taking, but they take a cut of your paycheck and you're getting paid well over minimum wage, even starting out. This was back in like 2011, 12, and they started me out at $16 an hour. I was like, damn, dude, I'm getting $16 an hour. Minimum wage at the time was like $8. So I'm getting double minimum wage, and I don't know what the hell I'm doing. I'm walking around. I've got my brand new stupid Caterpillar boots on. I got my Harbor Freight tool set that everyone's clowning me for, and I don't know a wire nut from a wrench. I'm just out there just running around like a chicken with my head cut off and slowly learning the game. And I just kept working, man. I kept working. And I was with this company for a long time, and I was very insecure because a lot of these kids that went in electrical school, they have dads, they have uncles, they've worked under the table for smaller brands, and then they've come in. So they know what they're doing. I came in absolutely zero experience. I was not even a guy that really messed with power tools that often or tools in general as a kid. You know, the tools I used were like the little tiny micro tools that you use on your tech decks. And like once in a while, I would screw like a screw in the wall so I could hang a picture frame or something, but like I know nothing. I don't know what tools are called. I don't know what linemen's are. I don't know what dikes are. I don't know what needle nose are. I don't know what Phillips is. I don't know what flathead is. I don't know any of this crap. And I learned it, man, and it was great. And I was with this company for 2 years, and they're like, yeah, you might last the whole time, man. We might keep you on for the whole deal. And then I got laid off. And then I was laid off for quite some time. I solicited my own work, started making money for this other electrical company, and they paid me pretty good. And then the school called back and said, hey, we got another company for you. You can't tell them no. So I didn't. And I went and worked for another company that kept me on for another almost 2 years. Right before the end of my apprenticeship, I get laid off again. And I'm like, damn, man. And at this point, I'm out of my mom's house. I've moved out. I feel like a man now. It took me a while. I moved out like 23, right? So, but I have rent. Bills are due, man. The landlord doesn't care about your situation, right? And I didn't want to ask for help. I'm the guy that says, I don't need your help. I can do this. I don't need you. So I did something kind of shameful for a period of time. I got into selling mollies and ecstasy, which I'm not proud of. And, there's still definitely some shame with that. But I had the mentality, I'm not justifying it. I just had the mentality of everything in life you have, Tyler, which is not a lot, you've earned, you've taken it against the grain. I know there's a lot of people out there that didn't have the white privilege I had, the middle class upbringing, but I had my own struggles. I had my own learning disability. I had my own depression. I had my own insecurities and doubts, self-doubt, that I had to force myself to overcome. Because one thing I didn't want to become is I looked around at my overachieving brother, my well-educated, nice job having parents, and I did not want to be the stain on the family. And I know they would never look at me that way. I could work at Walmart and they wouldn't look at me that way. But I felt that I had to do something that would be proud, would be at least on par with what everyone else was doing. That's the theme of my life, man. Just being good enough. Proving to people that you belong, proving to people that you can achieve. And I've had this chip on my shoulder my entire life. It's taken a lot of therapy and a lot of self-reflection and honesty, brutal honesty and failures to realize, like, at some point you have to start proving yourself to people. Not everything is a competition. You don't have to do this, that, and the third and throw it in people's faces and say, fuck you. Like, it feels good to do that. And I was getting off on that for the longest time. I love telling people, this is what I'm doing now. What are you doing? I love telling people, I make this much money. I drive this kind of car. I live on my own. Oh, you're still with your parents? That sucks. Man, it's unhealthy, but I've only recently, at 31 years old, almost 32 now, gotten to a place where it's like, you just do the best damn job you can. And I'm not saying try your hardest, like you're good enough, whatever. Like I'm not saying that, because I feel like a lot of people actually don't try their hardest because they are afraid if they try their hardest and fail, that they will be so dejected and just, low that they won't be able to recover. And I think that's a real thing. I mean, think about how many dudes that like don't go up and talk to girls because they're afraid the girl might tell them, I don't want to go out with you, or I'm not attracted to you. And they cannot hear that. Their psyche cannot hear that. So they don't try at all. I feel like there's a lot of guys that do that. They get job offers, they They take some online courses, whatever, because it's easy. It's easy. It's a layup. If you take away anything from watching this video, I hope that you sell out. And what I mean by that is go all in. Allow yourself to say, like, one of the few regrets I have, right, is with the MMA thing. The whole reason I quit is because I started having to work more and further from home, and there was less time in the day. And part of me wishes that I wish I was the guy that would have washed the mats, made a deal with the gym owner, slept in the gym, lived off of ramen and whatever, and just sold out. Because the two people that I saw succeed that I was training with, that eventually I passed them in the beginning and then they eventually passed me, either A, had rich parents, didn't have to work for shit. All they had to focus on was MMA. They got to be in the gym all the time. They didn't have responsibility. They didn't have jobs. They weren't going to college. They were just doing MMA because their parents were rich. They didn't care. They just wanted to be happy. Go fight, Timmy, you know? Or the broke ass kids that were sleeping on the floor, living, dying, breathing, eating, shitting the MMA. And I was trying to play the middle, man. I'm going to work, but I'm going to train 2 to 3 times a week. Maybe I'll get in a roll session on the weekend, this, that, and the third. And you can do that at the amateur level, man. But at some point, that's not going to cut it. It's not going to cut it. So I left that. And that's my only thing that I sometimes think about is like, what if I sold out? Because I was beating up on dudes for a while that I know right now that fight at a pro level. And I'm not saying that to brag. They would all beat my ass now. Like, it wouldn't be, it looked like child abuse. Okay. So I'm not Mr. Tough Guy beating my chest now, but I was hanging with these guys, a decade ago. And I sometimes wonder, hey, I don't know. I might have stopped improving to a certain point and they would have still inevitably passed me anyways, but I didn't give myself a chance. But what I will say is, you got to sell out on something. You got to dive in. You got to have self-belief. Don't be afraid to ask people for help, because that's been a thorn in my side my entire life. I hate doing that. I've done shameful things to avoid asking for help. Don't be afraid to fail. You could be the next great fucking thing. The next great thing. But you might be afraid that it won't work out, so you don't even try. Some of you watching this, if you've gotten this far, thank you. But you need to have an honest conversation with yourself. Am I really applying myself? Am I really trying? And and if I'm trying, am I trying my hardest? And I don't mean like put in max effort for a little bit. I mean sell out. Go all the way in, man. Some of you guys, you've seen it, and a lot of people fall for this trap. They see the gifted guys. There's always going to be gifted guys and gifted girls out there, right? That just shit happens for them. These guys, they're good looking, they're smart, they get into school, they rub elbows with all the right people, they're working at some successful law firm, or they're becoming a doctor, and everything just falls into fucking place. And it's just, and you say, why me? Stop saying why me, and understand that everyone gets dealt different cards. I know damn well I have it better than a lot of people. I know that. I also know that a lot of people have it better than me. And I don't think I'm better or worse than anybody else. But what I will say is, when my friends come to me for advice, they always say, man, Tyler, you're really honest, but you're brutal. And it's because when people sugarcoat things, it's to make you feel good. You should never feel good about something that you're not satisfied with. Don't put frosting on a turd and call it a fucking donut. You know what I'm saying? Like, don't dress something up if it's ugly, man. If you don't like it, then force your way out of it. Evolve, adapt, or die, man. Go all in. If you're stalling on something right now, you might fail. Let's go all the way down this road. You try something, you're passionate about it, you love it. You might fail at it. Okay. Now where are you? Right back to where you were before. But at least hey man, it wasn't in the cards for me. I went all in. Some of you guys, I get it. You have a lot to lose. You might, the rent is due, right? The rent's always due. The mortgage is always due. The bills are always due. They're not going to be lenient with you guys. They got to get paid, right? But for those of you who are still at a place in your life where you can make some choices, where you don't have kids or a mortgage or people depending on your success that directly affects their life, be selfish, man. Sell the fuck out and stop being afraid. Because I'll tell you what, my 401k from my electrical career, when I just decided to quit college, go all in on that, even though I knew nothing. I pulled my 401k out and I bought a house in Southern California, and it's appreciated $200,000 since 2019. I'm a homeowner, guys. I did that at 29 years old. I'm not sitting here to brag. I know a lot of other people that are successful and that have homes as well. But I know a lot of guys that don't. And I'll say it's because I just sold out on something. I went all in. I dedicated myself. Now I'm about to have a lovely wife. About a year from now, we're getting married. It's going to be beautiful. I'm the luckiest son of a bitch on the planet. Hopefully we'll have some beautiful children that are healthy and, have all of her traits so they don't turn out like little monsters like I was. And, the only person that you should feel that you need to prove something to is your damn self. Not your mom, not your dad, not your friends. If you're doing something for somebody else, it's never going to be good enough. It's never going to be good enough. You'll never be satisfied with it. But if you do something for yourself, you set goals, you go all in on them. You start hitting a goal. Once you hit a goal, you celebrate it for a day, and then you set a new one. You can get to a place in life where no matter what kind of addiction or depression or dark place or breakup or whatever that's holding you down, you can start to have at least some more self-confidence. You can start to have an identity. I'm not saying all your demons are going to go away. Everyone should see a therapist at least once. Nobody's perfect. Everyone should get mental help. Everyone should really do some reflection, try meditation, try yoga, try different things, talk to people. But the number one thing that I hope you guys take away is go all in. Stop making excuses. Stop being fucking afraid. And make something of yourself. Make something of yourself to yourself, for yourself. And don't feel like you have to do it by yourself. All right, man, that was way serious. If you guys made it to the end, thank you. Like, subscribe, comment. Even if you think I'm trash, let me know how trash I am. Let me know how this is the most trash show on YouTube, and we're sticking to the theme. And thanks for tuning in, man. I think that's gonna do it. Peace. We out of this bitch.